Hello, my YouTubers. This is Daniel Drepsky as your guide of showing you of my Alfred Hitchcock VHS collection. I have here about 13 or 14 titles that I have on VHS. He was one of the best-known film directors of all time. He directed some mystery and suspense and such. He's been directing movies from the 30s up into the mid 1970s. Hitchcock was best known for directing such classics in his lifetime for Psycho, Vertigo, Rear Window, Rebecca, and Spellbound, and many more. And the only ones from Hitchcock directing the films they did in the 1930s I don't have is Savage, just with Sylvia Sidney. Then I don't have in Secret Agent with Peter Lorre and Robert Young and Madeline Carroll. And I don't have the original The Man Who Knew Too Much with Peter Lorre in 1934. I don't have The Foreign Connection, whatever that has with George Sanders and Joe McCrea. And I don't have Lady Vantage, that's from 1938 with Paul Lucas. Those are the exact Hitchcock films of the 1930s I don't have on VHS. One of them I had to give away because I was selling it on eBay at the time when I lived in New York. But we got some memorable Hitchcock films that he ever directed from the ones from the 40s up into the 1960s. Yeah. Let's start with some Hitchcock films were made in the 40s. Let's start with the 1940 classic Rebecca, starring with Laurence Olivier and Joan Fontaine. Judith Anderson, she plays the housekeeper, and she's the one she burns the mansion at the end. That was a shocking scene in movie history. Co-stars with George Sanders. And this is the 1988 release of the Alfred Hitchcock collection from Key Video Series. Originally, Rebecca came out on VHS back in 1981 Magnetic Video Corporation, then reissued in 1985 from CBS Fox Video. This is the 1988 reissue. It has no print date, and it has the Alfred Hitchcock collection promo at the beginning. There's like this a retail card for the Hitchcock collection from Key Video. And the other sides of John Wayne films are available from Key Video. At that time, it was Shine the Spotlight series with some popular movie stars and movie directors, like Alfred Hitchcock. Now, one of the films Cary Grant did in the 1940s for Alfred Hitchcock was Suspicion, that was made in 1941 with Joan Fontaine. I don't have it on VHS, but I used to have it till I had water damage. Now here's the one with Robert Cummings and Patricia Lane in Saboteur. Co-stars with Otto Kruger and Norman Lloyd. Did you know Norman Lloyd in this film plays the one who plays Frank Fry? He was a Nazi agent, and thank God Norman Lloyd's still alive. He's got to be about 106, 107 years old. He was born in 1914. A memorable scene I like in Saboteur when, like, Robert Cummings saves Norman Lloyd's life without falling off the statue, and then he couldn't hold still and he falls off the Statue of Liberty. That was a memorable scene in movie history. And this is on VHS, made 1942 from Universal, and then it's on VHS 1985 from MCA Home Video. Yeah. This tape was printed on the 45th week of 1986. This tape was made in Japan. Saboteur, which is a good movie, was made around that time for Universal when Abbott and Costello were doing Pardon My Furor and Whodunit that same year. Now here's another Hitchcock film was made at Universal, the 1943's Shadow of the Doubt, starring Teresa Wright, the one she was in Best Years of Our Lives, and The Little Foxes. Joseph Cotton as Uncle Charlie, the woman strangler. When he comes to town, stays with stays with the Charlie's family. But she found out, Teresa Wright's character, that he is a woman strangler. And he strangles women for money. That's cold-blooded. This is a good film, and this is the last one to be released in the Alfred Hitchcock collection in 1988 from MCA Home Video, where whatever you see Alfred Hitchcock's shadow logo, that is the Alfred Hitchcock VHS collection series. Started in 1984 when they had Vertigo and Rear Window. Mid-1988 release from MCA Home Video. This film co-stars with McDonald Carey, Henry Travis, and Ewan Curran. And this is the mid-88 release from MCA Home Video. It has a background in pink. At the end of this cassette, it has the Alfred Hitchcock movie series told by Jimmy Stewart. Did you know Jimmy Stewart made a lot of films for Hitchcock in the 1950s? Vertigo, Rear Window, Trouble, The Man Who Knew Too Much, and the late 40s was The Rope. Now, all the Hitchcock films I don't have in the 40s, I don't have Lifeboat, that stars with, that also has Ewan Curran, and Walter Zazak and William Bendix. Hold on. That was a Hitchcock film from 1944 I don't have. Now we got some Hitchcock films were made in 1945. Spellbound with Ingmar Bergman from Casablanca and Gregory Peck that he did with Audrey Hepburn in Roman Holidays. Another film Gregory Peck did for Alfred Hitchcock was The Parendine Case that co-stars with Charles Laughton in 1948. This is a good Hitchcock film. It was made from Selznick Pictures in 1945, and this is the 1982 original release of Spellbound from 20th Century Fox Video. In this one, where Gregory Peck became like a director of like the hospital, whatever, they're accusing him for killing someone. That's why Ingmar Bergman has to find out what caused of this frame up by having Gregory Peck to be into like a hot water. And he tries, when he sees White frightens him like the past. Just like same resemblance to Hitchcock's Marnie in 1964. We got that much later. And this is the 1982 original release from 20th Century Fox Video. And hold on, having trouble with opening up the tape. Yep. This is the first release of Spellbound, 1982, from 20th Century Fox Video. And this tape is reprinted, it got to be in 1984, from CBS Fox Video. And it has and this tape has got to be distributed by ABC Video Enterprises. Now we got some more Hitchcock films like I don't have no 1946 The Notorious that stars with Ingmar Bergman and Cary Grant and Claude Rains when Claude Rains was just a Nazi when he poisons Ingmar Bergman. And I don't have The Parendine Case that was made in 1947 stars with Gregory Peck, Charles Laughton, Louise Jordan, the one from Gigi, and Ann Todd from The Seven Veils. But we got some other Hitchcock films. In 1948, Alfred Hitchcock made his first Technicolor debut, like he first directed a movie in color in the 1948's Rope. Stars with Jimmy Stewart, John Doe, and Farley Granger. It was based on the play. It was adapted to Ewan Curran. Yeah, and this movie is about when those two guys murdered his friend. So it's up to Jimmy Stewart when he plays like their school teacher to find out what David Kefley hasn't showed up, and that's how they were eating dinner off the dead man's chest. This is a good movie, and you know the Rope mostly is about Doesn't they don't go out anywhere, but mostly in that film for 80 minutes to have like the whole entire room for 80 minutes. They don't even go in and out, like going to places. Usually in movies they do that, but in this film, it's like a play movie. Yeah, Ropus seems like a good movie that you don't want to miss, unless you have like a good appetite to watch this film. Also has Cedric Hardwicke in it, and originally this movie is on VHS in 1985 for The Rope. It was released from Warner Bros. Originally in 1948. However, in this copy, they took off the Warner Bros. Logo to replace with the Universal MCA Company in 1983. This tape was printed on July 11, 1986. It might have Macrovision on it. The Rope is a very good movie that you don't want to miss for a whole entire film buffs out there. And I don't have another Hitchcock film in 1949. Stars with Ingmar Bergman and Joseph Cotten. I'm not talking about Gaslight, it was something else. Sub and I used to have. Now we got some Hitchcock films of the 1950s. Now, the sixth one we have here, also another film Folly Granger did, co-stars with Robert Walker in Strangers in the Train, that was released in 1951. And this VHS was released in 1983 for Warner Home Video, for Warner Communications Company with the three dots in the clamshell. And memorable, and I like the part when Granger and Walker were on the train together, when they're eating lunch together, when they're talking about, you kill my wife, I'll kill your dad. That's about like Criss Cross. And one of the films they did that, like the Criss Cross, like the 1987's comedy with Billy Crystal and Danny DeVito in Throw Mama Up the Train. That was a copy off from Strangers on the Train. And then I like the ending of the movie when Folly Granger and Robert Walker were on the merry-go-round trying to clear their names. And that was a shock. It was a shocking scene in movie history. Show you what this tape looks like. This is an ex-rental, but this tape is in great condition. And I don't have Stage Fright. That's a film from Alfred Hitchcock directed with Maureen Dietrich and Jane Wyman from 1949. And we don't have any Hitchcock films of 1952 or 1953. But we got some Hitchcock films were made in 1954. That is the 1954's Rear Window, a critical acclaim film with Jimmy Stewart and Grace Kelly. This is the film about when Jimmy Stewart was a news reporter when he injured his leg and he has to spend a whole entire week in his apartment with his broken ankle. That was bad. So at least his girlfriend, played by Grace Kelly, comes to help him, and also he was so suspicious about the murder. And also this film co-stars with Raymond Barr. The same Raymond Barr was in a TV show of the Perry Mason, and in real life Raymond Barr was gay in real life. And I like the ending of the movie when Raymond Barr was trying to kill Jimmy Stewart, when he tries to push them off the window. Something about he saw the dead dog. He was killed by Raymond Barr. And this is on VHS 1984 from MCA Home Video. That was made from Paramount. That was in 1954. That was before Paramount made Vestavision. Not until when White Christmas was made that same year. Printed it on September 14, 1986. Originally, Rear Window came out on VHS It was printed on the 38th week of 1986. Rear Window on VHS came out originally in 1984. On that tape it has a trailer for the 1972's Fritzy. Fritzy, I was already on home video in the early 1980s from the MCA Video Cassette Inc. That was one of his last ones that he ever directed in the 1970s. Now here's another film. Alfred Hitchcock directed that stars also with Grace Kelly and Dial M for Murder. Stars with Ray Milland and Robert Cummings from 1954. The same Ray Milland did The Lost Weekend in 1945. Yeah. Originally, Dial M for Murder came out on VHS in 1982 of the Warner Home Video's Night at the Movies collection series. In the original 1982 release of Night at the Movies 1954 of Dial M for Murder has some Warner Bros. Cartoons and newsreel and movie trailers. And this is the 1987 reissue of Dial M for Murder from Warner Home Video. And this is a little hard to find, but I got it. And also, this film co-stars with John Williams. That same year, John Williams did a movie with Audrey Hepburn, William Holden, and Humphrey Bogart in Sabrina in 1954. Now here's like another film Hitchcock directed with Jimmy Stewart. I don't mean Vertical, but the 1955's The Man Who Knew Too Much, the remake that co-stars with Doris Day. And this is the exact film Doris Day sings Que Sera, Sera, Sera when Jimmy Stewart tries to rescue his boy. When they're at the Nazi agent's mansion. This is a good movie. A memorable scene I like when Jimmy Stewart was at the when he's at the symphony concert trying to stop the one of the international spies to kill the ambassador. This is a good movie. It's like compared to the 1934 original. This is the 1955 remake, and this is on VHS from 1984 from MCA Home Video. And this tape is this is a reprint. Printed it on September 13, 1986. Printed it on the 39th week of 1986. Also on this tape, it has a trailer for the Alfred Hitchcock's Fritzy in 1972 film. Now here's not a great Hitchcock film, but it's doesn't have any killings in it. It's mostly a black comedy. That is A Trouble with Harry in 1955 has with film debut for Shirley MacLaine, Edmund Gwynn, and John Forsythe. Made in 1955, it's about when someone was killed, they had to find a place to put a dead body in. Didn't have anything with the killings. Yeah, this is just like an arsenic and old lace angle, something like that. Seems like not a great movie, but this is just a good movie. 1985 VHS release from MCA Home Video. I showed you that in my other updated video for this. And on this tape has a trailer for Torn Curtain that stars with Julie Andrews and Paul Newman. And I don't have the other Hitchcock films of the 1950s. I don't have the other Hitchcock films of the 1950s. I don't have that stars with Cary Grant and Grace Kelly in To Catch a Thief that was made in Paramount in 1955. I don't have a Hitchcock film also starred with Henry Fonda and Vandermeer Miles in The Wrong Man in 1956. But also I don't have a 1958 Vertical that stars with Jimmy Stewart and King Novak. I wish I had that on VHS again. But don't worry, I might find it accidentally. If I was in the thrift store or maybe on eBay. But during the 1950s, Alfred Hitchcock made his television show series like the Alfred Hitchcock Presents. The series ran from the 1950s to the 1960s. And Alfred Hitchcock Presents was made in 1950. On this tape, on the Alfred Hitchcock Presents Volume 1, it has Lamb to a Slaughter from 1958. Then the second one, The Case of Mr. Poham in 1955. And Banquerel's Care in 1959. This is an early 1986 release from MCA Home Video's Television Classics collection. That same exact release when they had with the Jack Benny's Christmas Show on Railroad Station that was on VHS in 1983. And also on this tape, it has the def tone at the end. It goes like doo on it. The one I made you for my previous YouTube videos. And now here's a Hitchcock film from 1959 that it's not made from Paramount. It is made from MGM, that is North by Northwest, with Cary Grant, Edie Marie Saint, and James Mason. And the memorable scene I like in this film when the airplane was chasing Cary Grant somewhere in the middle of nowhere. That's a memorable scene in movie history, and a memorable scene everybody remembers in this film with the Mount Rushmore. Originally, it came out on VHS back in 1983, and however, this is the 1983 box packaging from MGM UA Home Video, and this tape itself is a 1986 reprint, and it's in Macrovision. North by Northwest seems like a great movie from 1959. It was released from MGM, and it was filmed in Vestavision when it's owned by Paramount at the time. Now we got Hitchcock films of the 1960s. Now we got here one of the best Hitchcock masterpieces that he ever directed, that stars with Anthony Perkins, Bennett Miles, John Gavins, and Janet Lynn in Hitchcock thriller Psycho. Also stars with Martin Balsam and Simon Oakland. And this film is about when Marion Crane, played by Janet Lynn, she stole the $40,000 she's about to give it to like the bank. All of a sudden she made it like a lamb, and when she was going to Las Vegas, whatever, she stopped at the wrong motel. And a memorable scene in the film when God knows who stabbed Janet Lynn in the shower. I can't tell you what happened. And I like the other good scene I like when Martin Balsam got stabbed by unknown identified murderer, but I can't tell you about that. But you gotta watch Psycho right on VHS, DVD, and the Blu-ray. Originally, this film Psycho was made in Paramount in 1960. Originally, it came out on VHS 1980, MCA Video Cassette Inc., and it was reissued 1984. This is an exact copy. And also this copy of Psycho, it has the MCA Video Cassette Inc. logo, and then they cut out the Paramount logo to put like the Universal Pictures logo on there. That happens to be in the 1983 reprint of Psycho. Yeah, and then after this film was left off, they made like Psycho 2 with Anthony Perkins in 1983 with May Tilly. Then he stars and directed Psycho 3 in 1986. Then he made Psycho the Beginning, that's the fourth one made for TV, in 1990. And then, like the Psycho was a remake in 1998 from this 1960 classic. Now, the last Hitchcock film I have in his collection before we close. The 1964 is Marnie, that stars with Tiffany Hayden and Sean Connery. That was right after Tiffany Hayden made The Birds in 1963. It's about when Marnie has flashbacks like about the past, like she sees red, she gets very nervous, she gets high anxiety about it. This is a good movie, Marnie. My mother likes this film. It was released on VHS in 1986 from Alfred Hitchcock Collection from MCA Home Video. This tape was printed on September 20th, 1986. Printed on the 39th week. Sean Connery at the time he was doing James Bond films. And I don't have The Birds on VHS. During the 60s, Hitchcock still continues directing films that he directed Topaz with John Forsythe in 1969. Then he directed films in the 70s, one of his last ones, Fritzy in 1972, and Family Plot with Bruce Dern and Barbara Harris. That was the last one that Alfred Hitchcock directed in 1976 from Universal. By that time, Alfred Hitchcock died. And during of his death, they made a comedy about the making fun of Alfred Hitchcock in the Mel Brooks film of High Anxiety. Yeah. This is the genius of magic of Alfred Hitchcock, that he directed all the mysteries and plots and whatever. Yeah. And that's all for the video for my Alfred Hitchcock VHS collection. We'll see you again next time when I have more VHS tapes to be showing you. Until then, stay safe and dress warm. It's pretty cold in Pennsylvania today. Goodbye.